Alright, people, you see Workers' Rights Platform here in San Juan, so come out here concerning the issues that are taking place in the security industry. You know, we have Samson here, we have brother Omar, Abdullah, and we have a member of the Workers' Rights here on this side. I don't call out the name just yet. And we have brother Omar Association. Right? So we're going to start the program just now. Larry, not leaving anything. You have something to say when all them union leaders there, they have to tell the audience.
Yeah. Yeah, the next big guy. Yeah, yeah.
Press it now?
Yeah. Testing one, testing. Right.
Live, come and see.
Okay. Pleasant greetings to Trinidad and Tobago on this very gloomy Sunday afternoon in San Juan. We are at the promenade in San Juan. We were supposed to have done this a bit earlier, but because
just now, I have to change your orientation. Sorry. Sideways.
Understand well. My name is Shade, and I have a issue with these union leaders and them. They fail we in Trinidad and Tobago. You understand? Roger fail we, Anisette fail we, Richardson fail we, the one who in the estate council for the security industry and them. All them union leaders and them in Trinidad and Tobago, they fail we. None of them cares about the poor people that is suffering in this country. Imagine if a security officer goes to PSA or a security officer goes to OWTU, they will not represent them. And I say they fail. Roger is a failure, and he said and them is failures. You understand? All them union leaders is failures. Judy Charles is a failure. Every single one of them is failures. They don't care about the working class people in Trinidad and Tobago. All of them need to resign now and step down. Apparently, like all of them just get too old and the mind get feeble. So they're not really here for the people and them. All they care about is to fatten their pocket and to see who they could have sex with. That is what Roger and them really doing. To fatten their pocket and see who they could have sex with. That is what Anisette and them doing. That is what all them union leaders and them in Trinidad and Tobago doing. You could imagine to tell me petrochin workers get fired and the whole of the unions can come together and tell the working class to shut down the country? You mean to tell me that ass of a budget that just passed there with what's his name? Column in bird. He passed an ass of a budget column in bird. And you mean to tell me all the unions can come together and tell you shut down this country, boy? They madness, boy. Them union leaders and them they fail you in Trinidad and Tobago. They're not genuine. All they care about is their self, how to fatten their pocket, and who they could have sex with. None of them union leaders and them care. There's failures in Trinidad and Tobago. 4% the government want to get public servants, right? 4% the government want to get public servants, and some unions accept it, some want to go to court with it. I say no to hell with none of that. You as a union leader are not supposed to go to court with no 4% to try to get better. No. You as a union leader, you're supposed to tell the workers, here what's going on. Let me shut down this country. That's what you as a union leader are supposed to do. You're supposed to tell the workers and them to shut down this country. Right now we're here with the security officers and them in Sawa Regional Corporation, right? Nobody in the PSA wants to take on the workers in the private security industry. Nobody in OWTU, nobody in PSA. And here I have to say, I don't have a problem if I don't want to take them on or not. But at least talk on their behalf because the security and them the private security officers and them is going through a lot of hell in Trinidad and Tobago. You could imagine security officers, the full time it had to be 12 hours. You understand? It had to be 12 hours, not 8 hours. You know? And then when they get in the vacation, management taking away their vacation every year. They're taking it away, not like how some people who represented by union, their vacationers roll over. Not in the private security industry. They just take away their vacation. You understand? So the security officer and them is going through hell. And there's a lot more going through that. When the private security officer and them resign, or they reach 60, or if they want to leave, they're not getting no pension. And they're not getting no lump sum. Well, when they reach 60, right? When they reach 60 years, they're not getting no pension, they're not getting no lump sum. So we're going back now to the security industry and we hear what is taking place here.
Pleasant greetings to Trinidad and Tobago. We are here standing in San Juan, the promenade in San Juan, on a very gloomy Sunday afternoon. We had a lot of rains this morning, and there was a celebration here, a Diwali celebration, I believe, earlier on, which would have hampered us from going. It was Corporation Day. Yeah, Corporation Day. I think there was a parade or something of the sort, right? And it prevented us from going, from doing this earlier, because we had intended to do this earlier. So we are here today, and as we have said or indicated in our posting, that we do intend to address the issues as it relates to our private security officers in the security industry. We have with us today a couple of the private security workers. Some of them wish not to show their faces on camera. We know how vindictive our nationals could be here in Trinidad and Tobago when they are being highlighted and things are being said about them in a wrong way. But we need to highlight these issues. If we don't, the advantage, the oppression would continue. Our security officers will continue to have to endure with what they've been enduring with right now. Long hours of work, meager salaries, a number of other issues that plague them on the job. They're not being relieved on time. I would have had some stories where female security officers was posted on a site, a very remote area in one part of Trinidad and Tobago, and someone went to deliver a package there to them and actually found that one of them were taking a bath on the compound because she was not relieved in time. And she was actually begging for something to eat because where she was, there was nothing close by where she could have gone and get something to eat or relieve herself, or as the case may be. We have other instances where security officers would have set up robberies while working at their establishments because, as they said, they were not being paid and treated fairly. So we are seeing where security in Trinidad and Tobago is compromised to a very great extent. We have about 500 security companies operating in Trinidad and Tobago that employs about 50,000 workers. But the question remains, are we safe? How safe are we? When we look at the dynamics, what these officers are asked to protect. And I'm sure all of us can place a value, a very high value, on life, property, and information, which is exactly what our security officers are being asked to protect. But are they fairly compensated for that? What price would you put on your property, on your life, and the information that you have? Business owners, company owners, what value would you put on that? It seems as though you don't care about the very persons who is protecting that which is important to you. And so we are here and we want to stand with the security officers because they themselves are voiceless. Which trade union in this country actually does represent the private security workers? There is one entity called, what's the name of that? State Police Association, and who is the, Derek who? Derek, what's his name? Derek what?
Richardson.
Derek Richardson. So Derek Richardson, how much have you done over the years for these private security workers here in Trinidad and Tobago? I guess you have done nothing. Recently we would have seen where security officers was killed. They lost their lives. And questions was being asked. So how come they didn't have an armored vehicle? Well, that's another discussion. Because when security companies bid for contracts, they underbid each other. How much money you think these security companies would get to actually armor a vehicle? You know what's the cost to armor a vehicle? It's nothing less than $7 million. And I want you to correct me if I'm wrong. $7 million for one armored vehicle. And that's not speaking about the high fees that you're going to have to pay security officers to man those vehicles and to do their jobs in a right and proper way. So we have security in Trinidad and Tobago heavily compromised. We are not safe, so don't think we are safe. When you go into a supermarket, when you go into a company and you see security guards in this country are being paid just to put on a uniform and stand by a door. Believe what I'm telling you, $17.50 an hour cannot pay a security officer to even lift a finger to avoid a robbery in one of these establishments. It does not pay him or her. They have families to mind.
Take care of their families if something were to happen to them. Case in point. Case in point. Case in point. Case in point, we've seen where recently those officers would have lost their lives. Who is actually compensating those families presently? Are those families receiving compensation? Are they receiving counseling? Having lost a loved one, a breadwinner of the home, I understand that Pennywise would have agreed to pay for the funeral of these officers. And at the 11th hour they pulled out. So there was no compensation. There was no one reaching out to these families. And these men would have put their lives on the line. We have security officers. We have the other incident that took place in San Fernando. You would have seen that over social media, where actually you saw a security officer gunned down. These things are happening on camera. It's like you're looking at a movie. And it's ridiculous to think that these men are putting out so much. And putting their lives on the line, and they're not receiving due compensation. They're not receiving the type of recognition that they deserve. How many security officers in Trinidad and Tobago could actually fill out a pocket diary and maintain a pocket diary? How many security officers in Trinidad and Tobago are trained to even put an entry in the station diary? How many of them? I am sure if I was to ask a question of some of the security officers, that's present here today, do you know that there's an entry called a weather report in your station diary? And I'm very much sure many of them would not be able to tell me how to follow that weather report. 6 a.m. every morning. Officers are not being trained. They're being dragged off the streets, put you on an orientation program, given a uniform which they have to pay for, And that is what they have been asked to do, and put at different locations throughout Trinidad and Tobago, not trained. A security officer needs to be trained to do retail security, like in a grocery, a supermarket, a clothing store. That officer has to be trained for that particular type of task. If you're putting a security guard on a compound like the Wassa compound, that officer has to be trained for that particular task. Are these officers being trained? The companies are culprits. Amalgamated Allied Security, you all are culprits. And we need to call you out. You all are doing a disservice, not only to security officers, but a disservice to the Trinidad and Tobago, a disservice to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, because we expect that we are safe when we go to these establishments, because you have employed or put your workers there to secure that environment. But those men and women are not trained. There was one instance where a security guard went and locked himself up in the toilet while a robbery was taking place. And he said that the company is not paying him enough to put his life on the line. So what do we have here? And you all are getting away with it. You all are not paying NIS for your workers. Pregnant women who are making babies have gone to NIS and they have sought to get compensation or maternity benefits, only to be told that you have no contributions. But when you look at their pay slips, they have been making those contributions every single week, every single month. You all should be locked up, the owners of these security companies. You all should be locked up and the keys thrown away. You're playing with people's lives in this country. You're dogs in the true sense of the word. Nothing different from dogs and a pack of wolves operating and fighting amongst yourselves for who would get more and who could eat more. That is what you're about, Amalgamated Allied Security and some of the other big companies. For far too long you've been getting away with high crime in this country. And we're not no longer going to allow that to continue to happen. We're going to rally all private security officers. We are going to educate them. And we are going to empower them. And we are going to teach them and train them how to stand for their rights. And none of you would get away with it. We are fed up of the complaints. And we are going to highlight every one of them. Every one of them. Imagine you have, there's a practice if a security officer is not relieved on time, that security officer, because of the brotherhood that they have amongst themselves, will hold on, work extra hours, and wait on the other officer to come and relieve them. You know what you companies do? Let me tell you what you do. You do not pay the security officer that's holding on, and you cut the time of another security officer that reaches late. So you save that money. You're a dog. You're a dog. You're a dog. Security officers having to make double shifts. Ask them what did they get to eat. What do you send them? A food voucher valued $20 and $25. You yourself, your dog, would not eat a meal at costing $20 and $25. But you want these officers to stand up like a sandbag and do a task that you have employed them to do, pay them little and nothing to do, but you're benefiting, smiling all the way to the bank, and profiting from the poor women and men in this country. Because why they don't have a voice? Well, let me tell you something. The First Wave movement is going to give them a voice. And we are going to give them the tools to come after you. So that you will have to do justice when it comes to private security in this country. We are not taking no for an answer. You have to come to the negotiating table. You have to agree to a change of laws in this country and a regulated industry that does not allow you to underbill another company. One standard throughout the industry. Level the playing field. Out of those 500 security companies that operate in Trinidad and Tobago, only about 20 or 25 are considered, according to the definition that these criminals would give, are considered security companies operating within the standard framework. But you're not operating within the standard framework. These security officers who are being paid minimum wage are not recognized by our constitution as security officers. Imagine that. You put them in uniform, they feel good about themselves, they're in a nice pressed uniform, reporting to work, and they're not even recognized by our laws as security officers, but watchmen. All of those shame, all of them dressing up on all the jacket and tie, and feel all of doing something for this country. You does nothing for this country. Nothing. You reap the benefits and you don't give back. You don't train your officers in them. None of them are trained. And I want any one of you to come and tell me or bring me a group of security officers in this country that are well trained in the area of security. I would have asked on many occasions of security officers, tell me what is security. And almost every time, if they do not fumble to give me an answer, they do not hesitate to give me an answer because they simply just don't know. Some of them will say to protect property. Some of them, a very few, would say life and property. But none of them would indicate it's life, property and information. None of them. That's the very basic of understanding your position as a security officer in this country. But do you teach that to them? No. That is not going to be allowed to continue in this country. Never are we going to allow it to happen. And if that's not enough, you're harassing, sexual harassment, female security officers have to endure in their workplaces. We have gotten reports where top-level management in these security companies sitting managers and CEOs would have asked for sexual favors from female security officers for raise of pay, for better conditions, or for a transfer. Sexual favors. That is where you have become. That is what you have become. An animal. You have become an animal. You are behaving like an animal. Your thoughts and your thinking are like an animal. But we are going to call you out. We're going to call your names. We're going to get the names of all those persons who are guilty of that. And we are going to come on camera and we're going to call your name. And don't feel you're going to have the law of defamation on your side. Because defamation is only when we say something that is untrue. That is untrue. Once it's the truth, you have to prove us otherwise. So, with that said, I just want to bring on some of the other stakeholders in the industry. You may not know them as very popular and famous, but they have been doing a number of good works in highlighting the issue and giving a platform to a lot of the private security workers. One of them, Renison Jeffrey on my left here, has a platform where he has given a voice to the voiceless, right? So workers' rights groups that he are advocating for rights of workers in general, not just security personnel, but in general, and there are a lot of other workers, store workers, supermarket workers and so on, going through the very same thing. Same thing. And we do intend to address those issues. But this, as in regards to our life, our properties, and our information, we need to address. We need to bring account to this, and we need to have proper legislation in place so that these things do not continue to happen. Our security officers must be accredited. Every single officer in a uniform in this country should be accredited. Not be walking the street like a dog. Nobody recognizes them as nobody. They're abused by the public, and they're abused by the employers, and they're abused by the companies that employ them. That's how they treat security officers in this country. And mind you, when a company starts up an operation, it's the first group of people that they hire. And when they close up shop, when they go into receivership, it's the last group of people that they fire. That's to tell you how important these officers are. But you don't treat them like that. You don't. I have also with me Alan Sampson. He has been an advocate and an activist, a former executive of the Police Estate Association. So he knows a lot about the industry. He understands a lot of what has been happening. And he wants to, have a bit of conversation with you to highlight some of the things that needs to be done, that is necessary to be done, and educate us on some of the things that we were not aware of. And that is important. All right, so let me pass you on now to Jeffrey, to Renison Jeffrey. We'll take the microphone and address you all.
Good evening, everybody. We have a serious issue in the security industry that nobody would want to address. All the security officers and them would have approached various unions for various problems. And because they don't recognize them as workers and not representing them, plain talk bad manners. And what we're doing here is that we want to give a voice to the voiceless, because there are numerous issues, because Brother Omar would have talked about a lot of these things just now there. And if I go to stand up here to add more to it, plus midnight might come. So it's all about giving a voice to the people who could have been silencing the palm hand over the mouth. This is what this is about, and we're urging every security officer to come out. I mean, they degrade or so much that or you don't know what to do. And as an each one help one, the chain is as strong as the weakest link. So all of us have to band together. They might lick up one, but they can't mash up all our way here. And this must be a growing movement. All of us need to come out. The same person that, but sometimes, let me reiterate on one fact. First the SAD in that security firm. Sometimes our next officer reach late. The cutting the time at the officer that reach late. And the man who stay back now himself getting that money. And when they decide to raise the issue with management and they call the security firm and say, watch out, look what went on. These things, they don't want to hear. So you want that for yourself? Or you want to continue with that? Now there's a chance here in which all of us here can come together. Be wise. Or you hear the call, I'll Samson here to my right. And I know he's a man agitated. He go tell her you're going more in depth concerning that. So let me just stay to no like that time again. Let me put you on the Samson one time.
A pleasant good afternoon. I would like to take a minute of silence to our fallen comrades that have fallen in the execution of their duties. Thank you all very much. Today is a very sad day. Voices are crying out in the wilderness at this present time. Security officers are crying to see what these employers are doing to us on a daily basis. Sometimes we report for duty and we are being sent back home without no pay. They are telling you the shift is full. And we have to spend a lot of money to come for duty and just return home without no pay. Right? The other issue is that employers have been deducted NIS payment from employee salary and not being remitted to the National Insurance Board. Vacation leave, we are being paid less than the amount. We are being paid 40 hours, whereby we are working 12 hours a day, which is wrong. Just imagine, we have a canine, which is a dog, working for more money than us at this present time. It is very harsh and oppressive to see these employers taking advantage of the good nature in the security industry. And I am pleading on all security officers to come forward and let your voice be heard. You touch one, you touch all. We are no longer dogs. We must not be enslaved. We must not be afraid of these employers. Because Christmas is coming. We need to feed our children. We need to send them to school. Taxi fare is raising. And these employers just care nothing by paying us $17.50. I am saying we are no longer covered under the National Minimum Wage Order because the Minimum Wage Order does not recognize us as workers. And also the Industrial Relations Act. We need to draft a legislation to send to the government to remove the word work, to remove the word watchman from the act and replaced by workers. So therefore we can be recognized as workers under the Minimum Wage Order and under the IRA Act, whereby all terms and conditions will be afforded unto us. Because right now we are left at the mercies of the employers. We are crying. We are crying. Security deserves more than this. We deserve better treatment. When we leave our homes, we ensure to return to our family. Look at the incident, what happened to allied security officers. And these people were on the executive of the State Police Association. And far as I understand, the president of the State Police Association was given a position to come down to resign from the executive, from the branch board. And today, he died in the execution of his duty, and he never received the position. His family is crying out at this present time. What sort of compensation are there for us at this point in time? The families are crying at this present time. It's no longer we can accept this. We need to come out and send a clear message to these oppressive and callous employers at this point in time. You touch one, you touch all. Huh? Why we are waiting for someone to die before we step forward? The Estate Police Association represent estate constables, but I am saying they are doing nothing for the estate constables at this point in time. I am saying that Estate Police Association need to step up on the game and represent the officers, the estate constables, to the best ability and knowledge, because they are being oppressed just like the security officers. Management are taking advantage of them, and the executive is just sitting idle by and just giving them a tap on the shoulder. Enough is enough.
So I just want to say thank you to Mr. Renison and to Mr. Sampson, and we continue to make representation on behalf of the security workers, the security sector in Trinidad and Tobago. I hardly think I need a mic because I think I can throw my voice, right? I'm sure you'll hear me. So, good day again to all our listening viewers, coming live from the First Wave Movement and in collaboration with key personnel within the security sector to highlight a major plight in Trinidad and Tobago, which is the care, the respect, the dignity and fair treatment for security workers, security officers in Trinidad and Tobago. It is of grave concern what is happening. And I know we have developed a culture where when we think something does not affect us, it's die them. I don't go through that. I call it the house Negro syndrome, where you think you're inside the house and therefore it makes you the better slave than the man or the woman outside the house. No, friends. None of us are better than the other. And for the most part, Trinidad and Tobago is a very religious country. I would want to think so, because we have so many churches, so many temples, so many masjids and so on. And I think one golden thread among the various religious denominational groups is that we should love our neighbor. Yeah. Love thy neighbor. Not because something does not directly affect you or me, we would turn a blind eye to those that are affected. There comes a time when we have to look out for the neighbor. When I remember growing up, I heard my mom used to say, when your neighbor house on fire, you throw water. I hear people saying wet yours. I don't know the point in wetting yours. To be honest, that never makes sense to me, because if your house not on fire, what you wetting yours for? You wet the neighbor house, you throw some water on the neighbor house so that the fire don't spread to your house. That's how it's supposed to work. We have persons within the security sector, because you have been manipulated and because you have this what I call the house Negro syndrome. You think that because you are right, to hell with the rest. You think you and the boss good, so to hell with the rest. You think you take the job, so to hell with the rest. You think you getting a little higher wage, so to hell with the rest. You think you is a licensed firearm holder, to hell with the rest. You think you precepted, to hell with the rest. And we need to come away from that mindset of bondage, that house Negro mindset. When something affects others, it is also affecting you. It just ain't reach you yet. And right now it is beyond me that security workers would even come to work. I am telling you, having nothing is better than going to these places of employment. And I want to tell you something. Labor is one of the key components in the economic cycle. If there is no labor, the work cannot go on. What are you going to do without you? So it comes back again to having a sense of self-worth. Understand who you are in Almighty God, where you were created and you were designed to be treated as you were created, which is as a human being, not as some random slave that they're dragging up and they're giving a $12 and a $13 and so on. And I'm saying this not only to our locals and our nationals, I'm saying this also to the people who come in from foreign places to function within Trinidad and Tobago. Think about how you are undermining your brother and sister, albeit that we are from a different country, but we are the same. You're coming to take $12 and $13 to prove again you is the best house Negro from our next country, undermining the locals in Trinidad and Tobago. When you could stand with the locals in Trinidad and Tobago and be treated fairly in employment as well. That is what it boils down to. Love thy neighbor. When you take care of your other people, the Almighty takes care of you. I remember when I worked in the Point-a-Pierre branch and Petro-Trin, as it was then known. We had a comrade who was a supervisor in a particular section. That particular comrade would always make sure that people under him get fair treatment based on qualification, based on work experience, based on whatever they were entitled to. He would fight fiercely for them to get what is rightfully theirs. Mind you, this man, this comrade, and I want to say his name, Comrade Jack, he was so interested in the people who worked under him and that they get the fair treatment that in some cases people under him started working for more money than him. But that didn't stop Comrade Jack. Comrade Jack still was fighting for fairness. You're qualified, you deserve this, get what you deserve. Eventually, someone in management saw that there were so many people who were under Comrade Jack that were being treated fairly and were either close to his income or higher than his income, that they decided to raise his income. When we take care and look out for others, the Almighty looks out and cares for us. I want to move a little bit into the next dimension here. When we talk about the issue of loving thy neighbor, when we care about what takes place with security workers and workers on the whole within Trinidad and Tobago, we also seek in our own interests. Because think about if a security is not motivated and feels disenchanted when he is carrying out his functions. You have the situation where some will be tempted because they're dealing with money. They're securing money. So they may attempt to steal the money. People may come into the establishment to do something evil and they say, see me, that's $17.50 they pay me, can't pay for that. And they're backing out of the scene. They're not stand up and taking a bullet for you for $17.50. They will not. I will not. I will not. And I have a family who are dependent on me, expecting me to come home alive. I may have a child who depends on me to run behind them and play with them. Why must I take that? So don't think that this issue is only affecting them. Come off the slave ship, come out of the house Negro syndrome, where you think it's them and not me. When you go into an establishment, the security is expected to risk their life for you, not just to protect the company that they're working for, but to protect you and me. Hence the reason we don't care about no Sunday thing. We outside because this is an issue. And until we come to a place in Trinidad and Tobago where we stop everything about our personal pleasures and luxuries and start addressing actual issues, we will not come to the place of development that we need to come to. Alright? And again, as a woman, I have seen some of the working conditions of security officers. Not even men should be in some of them conditions, much less for women. A woman might be pregnant and she in a certain environment, she cannot even tidy herself and you expect her to go all kind of 2 days straight and all kind of thing on the job. I understand that even when they go after the expected the amount of working hours, they're not even being paid overtime. They're working straight time for overtime. How? Trinidad and Tobago, Uriah Butler turning in the grave. Because if he was here, he wasn't going to stand up and see that and be cool with it. Right? We have men like Rienzi, we have men like George Wicks. We have so many stalwarts who fought for the labor movement in Trinidad and Tobago that we could come now and look back and say, this is my ancestor. And therefore it is within me, the spirit is within me, to fight for fairness, to fight for justice. Because if they didn't fight, some of the things we are able to benefit from today would not have been available for us to fight for today. So when will we carry that spirit? Why when we will take up our mantle, take the baton, and run the next leg of the relay so that the next generation can have opportunity? When a worker, and this is not just security workers, is not treated fairly, it means that children cannot be educated. It means that they cannot provide for their homes. It means more crime because you have more illiterate people in the culture who now studying how they're going to eat without certain documents because they can't get jobs. There is a domino effect. So we are calling on all security officers within Trinidad and Tobago because we are about creating a huge camaraderie, a syndicate of security officers. That when we say no to our job is no, if that company is not treating with workers as fair. Time we get together and stand for something, or we continue falling painting. Stop the nonsense. But oh God, I had children, my child going to school. This spirit of defeat. We have to come away from the spirit of defeat. Take 2 days for your child. Shut down the place. Don't go to work. 2 days, your child will go to school. Trust me. Right? And if the government come in the morning and say they're shutting down the country for the next 2 months, you have to keep your child home? So what will it do? What will it take to keep your child home for 2 days and say, no, time for me to stand up for the right? Time for me to stand up for my child. Because when you get fair treatment, then you could give your child what is due to the child. When you keep working for $15 and $17 and $10 and $12 an hour, what you really planning to do for that child? You have no life insurance. You're not even sure to go home to the child. Because if something happens to the job, like what happened to those securities who were heist by, within that penny rise robbery just the other day, you're not sure to reach home because of your line of duty. You're not sure. At the very least, there should be a proper compensation package in the event of anything happening to you, God forbid. We don't have companies talking about these things at all. In some cases, the companies insuring the security worker for themselves. So when the security dies, they get a payout from the insurance company and the families get nothing. These are things happening. Security workers are posted in hospitals and the NIS not being paid. So you come into a hospital to work, somebody comes in the hospital with a contagious disease. You contract it and you can't even get NIS, which is bare minimum. I have spoken to some security officers within recent time. A man worked for a company 8 years, not 1 day, not 1 week. NIS was paid. A sister, 5 years. They pay maybe the first year, the next 4 years, nothing paid. Next one, a year. The whole time she worked with the company was 1 year and not 1 week of NIS paid. Right? But when I have a word with the HR manager who is King House Negro, telling me he have information. Otherwise, I said, brother man, I just do my business straight, you know. I would have asked the worker to go to NIS and get a readout from NIS, which means I have an official document showing contributions, and there's evidence here that this company have not paid 1 week of NIS for this worker. He starts stuttering, right? As I coming down by whichever mosque you like, you worshiping at, wherever church you raising your hand in on the weekend, praising the Lord, because all they saw they be trying to play, all they so religious, and all they treating people who you are working under you like dogs. Dealing with another issue right now, not security per se, but where HR manager is under fire. I am certain that HR manager thought when he was manager, he was a boss, and anything could have go for the workers under him, but he didn't expect that the same company would have turned on him. Because why? He was the best house Negro. He felt that his loyalty to the bullshit would have buy him some benefits, but now he's in the same position as all the workers who went before, right? So in remembrance of the stalwarts, the comrades who would have gone before, I want to sing a union song. It has given me some vibes now. When those who labor hold the reins of power, when those who labor hold the reins of power, oh, I would like to be in that number. When those who labor hold the reins of power, when those who labor hold the reins of power, when those who labor hold the reins of power, oh, I would like to be in that number. When those who labor hold the reins of power. And I sing that song from my heart because I really want Trinidad and Tobago to understand that without labor, companies cannot function. I remember I had a little contract to do some deliveries with a truck. And I remember them telling me particularly if there was no lorry man on my truck, I couldn't do the work. I had to have a lorry man in the truck. So I couldn't fulfill my contract without that lorry man. These companies cannot fulfill their contract without security workers. They cannot. You have to have a sense of self-worth and understand your value. Otherwise, people will do you what they want. These companies will continue to do you what they want. So we begging, we pleading, security officers, understand your value. These companies, as Brother Umar said earlier, they're not even training you. I looking at a video just recently where a security officer happened to just touch a gun and it pop off. You all saw that video?
Yeah.
Police officer, the police.
And he was an SRP or something? He just touched it, no safety. You better touch your trigger just so and it pop off. That means your safety off. Tell me, that says something to me. Basic training, if there's a police, well, I shame. Because I was at least saying it's maybe a security who it may be. So they didn't train in police neither then.
And anyone concerning government is
so a police moonlighting a security. So wasn't he wasn't in uniform, he was just on a whatever. Right? But anyway, shame was yet a police officer don't know how to operate his firearm. But I am saying there are so many security officers who are not being trained. A lot of them are not trained to use firearms, much less to be able to defend anybody with a firearm, right? And we definitely need more interest to be paid into these matters. We definitely need more interest. So going forward throughout the next month, we will continue to be highlighting the issues within the security sector. We are also putting the workers, because we have heard that workers are being even intimidated, told that they cannot join unions or else they are given ultimatums that they will lose their jobs if they join a union. Well, I am here to tell you all better join a union, because them same people who threatening you all will have no fight against them. If you are not in a union, contact the First Wave movement. Let us help you, align you with a union that will represent you properly. And we will have a number of events coming up which we will advertise so that other workers, other security officers could come out in their numbers and show up for their own selves, show up for your family. Bring out your families to tell them, say, this is the job I do, and if you all don't support me, I cannot support you. That's how you're supporting the family, so they should be willing to come out and support you as well. We expect bigger events coming out of these conversations. It's not just a one-day wonder. We have to understand how serious this is. We are all at risk. What if you were in Pennywise buying your little, for the ladies who buying stuff for the household, toiletries and so on, somebody running Pennywise and the securities, all of them decide they're busting out because they're not being paid for that. Think about that. We are all at risk. Alright, so apart from security workers, any worker, because we are about encouraging persons within the labor sector, anybody who labor in any job, you're being treated unfairly, contact the First Wave Movement. And we want to say thank you all for joining us live today. And I want to pass us back over to Brother Umar, who would bring the conversation to a close.
As Karian was speaking there, I was having some conversations with some of the security officers who would have presented themselves here today. And something very disturbing came out of those conversations. And I understand that is one, but it's happening across the border. All the security companies are doing this and they're guilty of it. But this one particular company, because these workers, they were working with this company. I wouldn't call the company name as yet.
Call the name.
I call it as it, all right? But this one particular company is giving exams, all right, giving the opportunity for security officers to write an exam for upward mobility. And what they're doing, they're choosing the workers whom they know cannot read nor write. Understand me clearly what I'm saying, So in the first instance, they hire these men and women. Obviously, there was no form of training, there was no protocol as regards to employment and so on, because if you can't read and write, where are you going? All right? But nevertheless, they're asking these officers to pay $600 to write the exam. But listen, they're catching it. They're keeping the $600 if you fail. So now you know why they're only pulling those who can't read and write. Because they want them to fail. And they know they're going to fail, and they're going to get $600 in their coffers.
Call the company name.
Right? Karen Berg may call the company. I'll call the company name.
Don't protect them.
Right? That's what they're doing. And the ones who could read and write, and who's eligible to move up in the company, they're not giving them the opportunity to write the exam. They're saying that they lost the file and all kind of nonsense excuse they're making. Alright? Now the name of the company, for the benefit of Carry On, and of course, the viewing public, because you know Trinidadian is. To hear something they really want to hear. They really want to hear. It's Allied Security.
Allied.
Right?
The
Allied
name
Security
coming up
is doing
regular
this.
these days.
Right? The name calling up and all kind of thing these days. Right? And by rights, we have to speak out against these things. We have to speak out against these things. And let me tell you something. Allied Security. You play, you go in and come down on the workers for coming out and speaking out. Because we're going to come down on you. Right? And don't feel we can't do it and we don't have the mechanism and the capacity to do it. We're going to do it. We're going to show up by your door. We're going to show up by your officers. You understand? And like we've always told people in this country, the First Wave Movement, I have no problem in showing up by your homes.
Correct.
We have no problem in showing up by your homes. Alright? So, continue to do the injustice. Continue to go along that path. Right? Don't feel Amalgamated is not guilty. Don't feel the other security companies like Shaw Security and lots of the other names, Security Co. and all these other companies are not G4 and all these other security companies, they're not guilty. They're all guilty. And let me tell you something. There's a trend in Trinidad and Tobago when senior police